Welcome to episode 193 of the No Clue Podcast. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Tyler.
I'm Mike.
Welcome back. We got to get into football. Trade deadline is today as we are recording. So we may miss the last few trades of the day, but it is today. There's been some recent trades, but we need to get into some of the play of some of the legendary players, some of the quarterbacks.
There's a lot of suspect play in the NFL in general right now.
There is. Where do you want to start?
Ooh. Let's start with the Packers.
Okay.
What a expected embarrassment on Sunday night.
Yes, definitely.
This game sucked, to be honest.
It did. It was hard to watch. For me, it was at least very hard to watch. You know, they're expected to be active in the trade deadline, but I'm not sure if, unless they're looking for a new quarterback, I'm not sure how much the trade deadline is going to help them.
Dude, they're a complete mess. I watched them blow the lead a couple weeks ago to the Commanders.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself is an embarrassment. Even though shout out to the Commanders, they just got back to 500, like they're playing better.
Yeah.
But man, the Packers are like inept.
They are. And obviously the Bills were supposed to beat them, but the Packers just look bad, and they've looked bad pretty much all season. Even in some of their wins, they've looked really bad.
No. I like it's so all around too. That's what's shocking, because I guess the only positive is Aaron Jones still looks pretty good. Yeah. But they'll have weeks where he barely touches the ball.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, like this should not be a team that's playing through Aaron Rodgers, because he's playing horrible.
So the narrative around that is that, you know, the receivers are inexperienced, they're young. Is there a point where the responsibility falls on Rodgers to not throw to inexperienced receivers as if they're Odell Beckham and Randy Moss? Like, are he throwing tough catches that, some receivers in the league could catch, but he knows they're inexperienced more than we do. So why does he throw, like, you know what I'm saying? He's throwing like highlight catches to these guys. Like, they would be highlight catches if they caught them.
But they're barely getting like involved in the game.
Right.
And that's what's bizarre. Yeah. It's like your reliable guys, Lazard without Adams looks horrible.
Yep.
Who's the guy? Cobb they got back? He's been average. Yeah, I never thought he was very good.
Yeah, he was just someone that Rodgers targeted a lot. Yeah.
Right. I think he's played with him before for a couple years.
Yeah. Yep.
But like, you knew coming into the year, everybody else was super young or a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, like Dobbs making mistakes, Romeo Dobbs, I think, him like dropping pass, bro. Travis Kelce dropped a game-winning touchdown several weeks ago.
Yeah, it happens.
Mahomes didn't go to the post game like, man, you know, guys got to step up.
Right.
That's what bothers me. It's like Green Bay, the more weeks go by, the more we realize that they're just not good.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. I said in the season, I'm totally okay with the Vikings finally taking over, which they are.
Too. Yeah, they are big time, and then making even better moves.
But now Aaron's like throwing the organization under the bus. Like, they haven't. This is like the fourth year they haven't really gotten you a weapon.
Yeah, and this is the fourth year he's throwing them under the bus.
Bro, you know, Devontae's the only weapon you really lost, and when Devontae was playing, you were an MVP.
Right.
Without him, you look like a bottom 10 quarterback.
Right.
That's what's shocking to me. Like, before, and Adams would be hurt all the time before, so we'd still see Rodgers without him, and he'd play great.
Yeah.
And that's gone.
Yeah.
It appears to be gone. Hopefully, it'll come back at some point.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where Green Bay goes from here if he does choose for this to be like his last season, or winding down to his last seasons. I've read some things saying it might be his last season, but if it's close to his last season, I don't know. They have to start looking for another quarterback, or
Yeah,
at
they already
least a
missed
quarterback
one.
that matches the young.
They already missed
Yeah,
with one.
yeah, yeah. So,
I
but
don't know
he
about Green
definitely
Bay,
has more
dude.
in the tank. He definitely has more in the tank, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe that. It's
but
just
this year
crazy to
might be
me.
a wash.
The fall off is insane.
It is, and it's funny. You look around the league, and some of these guys are really good without a Adams level threat on their team, level weapon on their team, and then you just think, man, if they did have one, they'd be even better. Uh, this is one of the rare times you get to see it the other way around. You know, they're
Yeah.
elite when they have the weapon, and now without it, they look really, really bad. So,
I know Mahomes looks fine without Tyreek.
yeah, he does. Yeah,
I mean,
but
Herbert's been missing. Keenan Allen's played like opening week, and that's it.
right,
And he's been fine.
yeah,
Like, you don't
yeah,
have to be. And Herbert's had bad games. Again, if you're losing to the Bills, no problem.
hmm hmm
Blowing a lead to the Commanders,
that's the disaster there.
you
Yeah,
blew a lead to the Giants the week prior
yeah,
in front of the whole Europe, in front of all of Europe, by the way.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
tough, man. They look bad. And their future looks bad. That's the worst part.
And that's where I was getting at. Their future doesn't look the best at the moment, and they almost need someone that is a real leader for these younger guys. And leadership is more than just calling people out and uh, just yelling at people and holding them accountable. But you also have to teach at some point, and I haven't really seen uh much of that from Rodgers, at least so far. I don't know if he's that kind of leader for the team,
Yeah.
especially with young guys. You're going to need that eventually. So, um, maybe the time to make that move, or at least maybe someone more in their peer group to bring them up. Because I think we've noticed a lot in the league so far that when you have an older quarterback and a younger core of weapons, it's not really meshing as well as when guys grow together in the league, like
Yeah.
like a Kansas City situation or um Buffalo situation.
Yeah. It's tough though, because like I kind of want them to get Odell just because I hate that the narrative is that like Green Bay sucks. That
Yeah.
Aaron is struggling because Green Bay sucks. Because to me, bad quarterback play is bad quarterback play no matter who's out there.
Yeah.
And Rodgers has not played well, flat out.
I want better for Odell, but I completely understand. Yeah. I
You're
Rodgers needs
right.
to be held he needs to be held accountable for his play as well. But I definitely want Odell to be I want Odell to be successful wherever he goes. I want to
Yeah,
watch Odell play
I don't
well.
know if it's gonna be there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. Let's move down south to Tampa Bay. Same record.
Dude, I watched the Panthers game.
Yeah.
Panthers are starting PJ Walker.
Yeah.
I'm not a big college football guy. I had no fucking clue who he was.
Hmm.
And he played about as well as like Mac Jones did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like he read the plays well, he executed well. Every time the first option was open, he made a good throw. And then
Yeah.
after getting hot, he made a couple of like really nice deep throws. Kind of like
Yeah.
how Cooper Rush played until they lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, Tampa Bay gave up after Mike Evans dropped a touchdown.
They did. That
Now,
was it.
now again, it was a horrible drop.
It was.
horrible.
Really bad.
But it's the same thing with Aaron, like we're talking about with Aaron Rodgers. Like, Brady, guys have dropped passes from you before.
Mm-hmm.
That's at worst, we're chewing them out on the sideline and we're back at it.
Yeah, he really made it almost like all right, he dropped that. I'm afraid to throw any bad pass for the rest of the night, or like any risky pass for the rest of the night.
And I only like really watched the first half because the game was over. Tampa Bay was completely lifeless, like missing easy tackles, coverage is being blown all the time, giving up runs. When they're getting the ball, they can't run, they can't complete a pass, they can't beat anybody. It was just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Panthers were like, at that point, it was a pretty locked in deal that McCaffrey was being moved.
Yeah.
Essentially saying, like, we're resetting, we're building a new roster.
Yep.
And they destroyed the GOAT. Who, again, like in the past, the Saints have dogged them since coming to Tampa Bay a lot.
Yeah.
He's losing his mind. He's yelling at assistants, yelling at teammates. He's breaking tablets.
Yeah, a lot of fire.
It's like, that's what bothered me about this game. Is like, it was okay to be awful.
Mm-hmm.
At least he's, unlike Rodgers, he embraced his teammates after, and he's been talking about how they want to figure it out and get right together, which Aaron hasn't done. But Tampa Bay at least has hope.
They have hope, and just like we just mentioned, the biggest difference is leadership. I mean, you can see the Tampa Bay leadership even when Tom isn't playing well or the rest of the team isn't playing well. You see something. In that game particularly, it wasn't all there, but in the next game, even though they just really got outplayed by arguably a better team, you could see Tom's leadership definitely stand out. I think that kept them in the game. Yeah.
The Steelers' loss, I think, before the Panthers game was even worse. Because that was like Kenny Pickett really outplayed him.
That was the game Evans was suspended?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bad. That was a bad game. Really bad game. Again, same record. Let's go to Denver.
Oh, God.
The floor is yours. You got it. Mr. Unlimited himself.
Yeah, good for them coming off a win.
Yeah. But it's the Jaguars. I mean,
yeah, the Jaguars have folded after like 4 weeks of the season. They fooled a couple people the first like 3-4 weeks, but once the Eagles handled them, it was a wrap.
Yeah.
This is worse to me than Rodgers and Brady by a lot. Like,
yeah.
And I hate like their coach sucks. I understand. But again, the coach doesn't decide whether the quarterback does dumb shit on the field.
Right.
That's my problem. That's what's disgusting about the Broncos.
Especially when it's like ad lib stuff, like freestyle stuff.
Which is supposed to be what you're good at.
Exactly. It's not like the play was bad. It was what you did with the play that was bad.
Dude, like, it's honestly, there's been several times, and that Thursday night, their last primetime game against Matt Ryan, who has since lost his job.
Yes.
Which that game, Matt Ryan versus Russell Wilson was the most combined worst like quarterback performance I've ever seen. The sheer, like, it's not only you're seeing throws and you're just missing them, what you're seeing is a bad idea.
Exactly.
That's what that Thursday game, like, Matt Ryan, who's been in the league forever, who's been an MVP.
Yeah.
Who was from one blown lead away from a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. Who's been top 5 in yards. Basically, he's
all the
every year.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude, like he kept missing throws, and they're showing it on the replay, and the guy's not even open.
right.
Like, you're not even missing an open target. This was a horrible throw.
You talking about Wilson or Ryan right now? Because
Ryan
they
right
both.
now.
I was about to say because both did that. But yeah, I got you.
But Ryan, as the game progressed, started like simplifying everything.
Yeah,
Which,
he
typical
stopped going
washed
for home
quarterback.
runs.
It was all the screens, it was the little 5-yard slants,
Yeah,
like a couple sideline passes that aren't too risky.
yeah,
Meanwhile, we get Mr. Unlimited,
yeah.
has no self-awareness at all.
None at all.
Russ,
None at all.
you have the most infamous interception in Super Bowl history. You threw away a second straight Super Bowl. Like, you just threw it away. Pete Carroll just now has recovered his reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we questioned for like half a decade if Pete Carroll was a decent coach after that.
Yeah, that wouldn't play.
Meanwhile, this guy is honestly dog shit in the red zone.
Yep.
Like, that's one of the biggest things. We paid you all this money, and when the defense is at its best, when it's hardest to produce, you're the worst.
Yep. Why did he choose Denver, by the way? Do we know? Does anyone know?
I'm assuming they're one of the few teams willing to pay him that gigantic contract.
Okay, yeah. So
there's no way Cleveland, there's no way hypothetically if Deshaun hadn't decided to go to Cleveland, they're giving Russ $250.
Right.
Deshaun, we saw it on the field, so I get it.
Mm-hmm.
With Russ, he hasn't been great in like 4 years, which when he was great, he really was.
Yeah.
But it was years ago. And now, like, their coach sucks. Their run game kind of sucks, which in the past it's been good. Their defense was great. And you still, like, you can't give me anything. They kept losing 1-point games, like a field goal game, 1 possession game, overtime game. Russ, like, it's you throwing the game away.
Right.
To me, their coach only cost them opening night.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, every other loss has been Russ playing completely inept.
Yep.
It's just like you're seeing guys that are double covered and you're throwing inaccurately. Like, why are you even throwing the ball over there?
Yeah.
Guy who's been in the league so long.
Yep.
It's bad with Denver, man. I'll say off now that we're kind of at the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
I was really, and a lot of people were, but I was really wrong that Kansas City's division was going to be like OD difficult.
I know. Yeah. They all really fell off.
Fell off so bad. I mean, what just happened with the Raiders is just, I don't even want to talk about that.
Major disappointment. Herbert this year, I mean, Herbert has looked okay, but
he's been hurt.
Yeah, he's been hurt, and the games he's played in, it just doesn't seem like he is maybe he's not at the step where he can like win games for the team. Like, he can play really well, but winning games for the team maybe isn't his thing yet. At least not now, because the league is pretty competitive. But Raiders falling off, and
Raiders are like, I thought Denver was by far the worst situation after like 5 games.
Yeah.
The Raiders are like skyrocketing to take that top spot.
We both thought really highly of the Raiders this season coming in, and they just have been disgusting. So it's been easy for Kansas City, and they're not even playing that great every game. So, and they're like the clear cut out of that division.
I'd fire Josh McDaniels for Devontae having 1 catch.
I would too, to be honest.
That's just we already had numerous games with like 3 or 4, which
Yep.
is already bad. You like, can he get a fucking screen pass, please?
Nope.
Like, what the fuck, dude? I watched Miami, and Miami, before even really playing the game, is like, Tyreek, we're getting you like 50 yards off rip.
Yeah.
Before anything is even really like, before we commit to the run, before Tua starts to really dictate where we're going with the ball, Tyreek, let's get you like 3 screens off rip.
Yep.
I mean, every good weapon in the league gets easy, like high percentage plays just to do something.
Yeah.
Except Devontae Adams. Like,
Yeah.
what?
You know what's kind of weird about the league right now? It's competitive, but it's competitive because people are bad, not because like everyone's really good.
Yeah. That's been the weird disappointment is the teams are so evenly matched up that they make each other look bad.
Like the AFC South is disgustingly bad. The Texans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans.
Yeah. Sheesh. And
Um,
they've been competitive. Maybe not the Texans, but the other,
yeah,
like the Colts, those games. The Titans are battling. They're kind of picking it up a little bit. There's
yeah.
a good chance they'll
Um,
win the division and go to the playoffs.
right. The NFC South, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Buccaneers. I mean, it's Buccaneers are
Impossible
the
to
best
predict
team
right
there,
now.
but yeah, the Buccaneers are the best team, but they're not playing the best, so they've all been pretty bad. Mariota has actually had a really good season, um, for his standards, so shout out to him. NFC West, Cardinals, the Rams, 49ers, and Seahawks. Um, 49ers should rise above there, but
I don't know if they get healthy.
yeah, and nobody's playing that great there either.
Oh, no, that's another division that's been a huge. I mean, it's really the Rams so trash.
The Cardinals too. The
But they've
Cardinals,
like, to me, the Cardinals just like they don't know how to win.
right?
Like they've
They've
looked
had,
capable of keeping up with some of the teams they've played.
yeah, they just have had really bad losses, and to go down, they've went down early like every game. Like I think they have like the most first
Yeah.
halves down 2 touchdowns in the league or something like that. I heard that stat. I mean, what do you do with that? How do you have a successful season doing that every game, going down 2 touchdowns every first half?
And Hopkins, it looks really good since coming back.
Yeah,
But
he's 2 games back, or yeah, I
yeah,
think two
he
games.
just played his second game.
Yeah, yeah,
But they've lost all the games where it's like a good benchmark test for if you're really among the NFC like elite.
yeah,
And,
yeah. And
and
they
to
have
me,
lost all of
losing a
those.
close game to Kirk Cousins means you're definitively not better than the Vikings.
Right.
You lost a close game to the Eagles that kind of showed that you're definitively not as good as them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about their schedule the rest of the way, but they gotta have a couple signature wins if they're gonna even be taken seriously.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. Um, any positives to throw out there?
All right, apology has to be issued. I was ruthlessly critical of your New York Football Giants, and they have continued to win games. And Dable looks like a better and better coach the more I see them.
He does. He
I
does.
mean,
They
he
look
has,
pretty good.
and Daniel Jones only fixed one problem. He's just stronger with the ball.
Yeah.
Big thing I
Yeah.
coach guards in basketball. Like,
Mm-hmm.
not like taking a sack versus giving up the possession
Mm-hmm.
is night and day, because you look at their games and it's because a lot of them are close and low scoring. It's all about field position.
Yeah.
And when you're not turning the ball over, now you're often tied instead of down a touchdown late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're down a touchdown, Daniel Jones has no chance. But when you're
Yeah.
tied or when you're down 1-3, now you got flexibility to make plays. They're getting more and more creative with Jones as an athlete. Finally, I mean, I've been waiting like 3 years for that.
Yep.
And their defense is playing great. They look really good, man. They look like they're going to be a tough out regardless of who their matchup is.
Yeah, he's emerging as one of the best game managers in the league. At least with the team he has.
Yeah.
And then coming up, we got the Texans, the Lions, Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, Commanders again. I mean, we're looking at a really nice record, most
I mean,
likely.
yeah,
Texans,
if
they beat the
there's a
Cowboys.
realistic scenario where they could win the division.
Yeah, they could have a top 3 record in the league, very realistically too.
Yeah.
Um,
That Cowboy and Philly game is going to essentially tell us if they're an NFC threat or not.
Yeah, if Philly is healthy, then they're not going to beat Philly. But getting those 2 Commanders wins, the Colts win and the Texans win is
You're
big
looking at
in
13
itself.
wins, 13-4. I mean, it sucks that you can't get the division because Philly will probably be like 15-2.
Right. And we don't know
still,
what
man,
Dallas, how Dallas plays for the rest of the season.
To come off of like multiple inept coaching runs.
Yeah.
They have 3 straight 2-year coaches that were trash.
Yeah.
To win double-digit games is incredible.
And to be one of the most competitive teams in the league.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And to do it without, like, it's not, again, Daniel Jones is not significantly better than what he was. You're winning with the tools you have.
Yep.
Coach of the year so far to me.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree. What else we got? You want to talk about the trades or you want to save that till we get all of the trades next time?
Yeah, we could save it because we'll see another week of how some of them fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to see a 49er game and a Ravens game to see really how the additions stack up.
McCaffrey's looked good so far.
Who did they just play?
They played the Rams.
Not too good of a test for me.
Right. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Let me look at their record moving forward. I mean their schedule.
The thing is with the Niners, they just need to get in.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners, to me, I don't care where they could be the last seed, and they'd be just as legitimate of a threat as anybody else in the NFC.
Yeah, I agree.
They're dangerous, man. I would hate for like Philly to end up playing them first round because that would be a tough ass matchup.
They have a lot of explosive weapons that just any given Sunday can go crazy.
And then sometimes they'll be more physical at every position.
Yep.
It's so rare. It doesn't happen every game because who did they get blown out by a week or two ago? Was it Arizona? I think
Kansas City
kind of like just moved up and down easily, but like the Panthers couldn't do anything.
Right.
The Rams really couldn't do anything.
Yep.
So
either game.
49ers are going to be a huge wild card up until probably the rest of the year, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right. Basketball news.
Let's get into it.
Steve Nash is out of here. He's finally agreed to part ways from the Brooklyn Nets. No surprise here, right?
No. The conversation for the past since opening night has been like how many games will it take?
Yeah.
It was never whether he keeps his job or not. It was already how many games will it take?
Right. Yep. Yep. He's been on the hot seat basically since he got the job. And then definitely with this summer's situation, Durant's saga this summer, Kyrie's issues this summer. It's this season has been set up for failure for Nash either way. I don't think Nash is inept as a coach like throughout the whole league, but coming in and coaching this kind of team this early, having never coached before, is just tough for anybody. But
Yeah.
for a first year coach is just not it, especially when you don't use like I don't see any of Nash's basketball IQ in his coaching. And I think that's a skill you have to gain over time as a coach to bring what your knowledge to what the team does.
Yeah.
Because I know
It
it's
took
not
Jason
easy.
Kidd several years to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. So um I do think Nash could do that eventually for people who are fans of Nash. I don't think this is the last time we see Nash coach. Just with the guys he has is just a real tough job. It's a tough job. I
It's
don't think
the
anyone
toughest job.
necessarily. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think anyone necessarily wanted this job. I mean, these guys
I mean,
can't even do post game interviews successfully. So, like this,
I
the
mean,
Nets need
he had the clear cut worst leadership in the league on the court.
the two worst leaders in the league are on his roster. I won't name
Right.
names, but
Right. So he
we've
was
been
set
saying
up
it
like
for years.
right.
Yeah,
I think the problem is like they don't listen at all. It became so obvious.
yeah,
It's so blatant that after the Pacers loss, I think it was, they had it was a disaster. I mean, the
yeah,
Lakers were 0-4 at that point, and I didn't hear that word from them.
yeah. And that was just a game ago.
A game ago, it was a disaster. We're having a
Yeah,
players only meeting that Nash is a part of.
yeah.
I mean, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know. You shouldn't be in that situation this early in the season where you feel like you have to have a players only meeting a couple of
I'm
games
surprised.
into
I
the
thought they'd
season.
give him 10 games to like at least see if there was a good trend.
What was it? 8?
I think so. 3-5, 3-4.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
horrible. We talked about this last time.
Yeah, they're horrible. You know, um the other options to coach, they're expected to speak to Quinn Snyder. Um, but you know what is really interesting? Oh, this Nash thing isn't interesting. None of this is interesting with the Nets. So we've talked about it over and over again, every podcast. If you listen to any of our NBA coverage, we talked about the Nets issues.
It'd be interesting if
What's
they didn't suck.
right. What's really interesting is that the Celtics have released Udoka to talk to the Brooklyn front office, which
Yes.
I think is
I also saw that.
that's interesting to me. Um, it's very like I don't know. I mean, for a relationship, you think, all right, go ahead and see what happens. You know, it's like one of those your girl doesn't want you to go out, but you're like, nah. I mean, it's not gonna be that serious. All right, go ahead, try it and see how I feel about it, and see if they actually want you out there. You know what I mean? Like that thing.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about how the Celtics view him coming back. It's just like, yeah, if he comes back, that's cool. If he doesn't, that's cool too.
Which means he's not coming back.
Exactly. Which means
Which
they don't want him back.
point of the connection is when that happens in relationships it's over.
You might as well not come back home. Yeah. So I think that's very telling. That's the most telling thing about the article I read about this firing.
Yeah.
So But hey, Quinn Snyder and Royce O'Neal back together would be fun. Royce O'Neal would be checking Giannis
I
every
watched
game,
Royce
and
O'Neal last night. By the
yeah,
way, side note, they're giving him
yeah,
way too much confidence.
they are, yeah. Because if he
You
does all
know,
that stuff in the
we
in
can't be
the
telling
playoffs,
everybody to like, yo, keep shooting. No. That doesn't apply to every role player.
exactly, yeah. If he does all that stuff in the playoffs, they're gonna be mad about it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
But yeah, like you said, it's really not interesting. The next coach that comes, I think, in a win-win position because now KD and Kyrie have to step up. Like there's no
yeah,
more 35-point nights with 2 rebounds, KD. There's no
yeah,
more of those. There's no more of like letting a rookie do anything he wants the entire game.
right.
Like, because the losses are blatant to me. It's almost like they were blatantly throwing games to get him fired.
Yeah, is no more 38 points, and your man has 38 points on the other end too.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
you have 38, but so does Desmond Bain. That's
Right.
We can't do
So
that
to
over and over again.
me, they have to make the team Kyrie and KD, not the new coach.
Mm-hmm.
KD and Kyrie have to make this, whoever comes in, they got to make the roster look competitive.
Yeah, yep. They
And
had a
let's be honest, are they going to be healthy enough all year to do that?
I don't know. We'll see.
I doubt it.
If by if by healthy, do you mean like that they actually miss games because of their health, or do you just mean are
Yes.
they going to play every game? Because
No, they'll
it's
miss
two different
KD. The
questions.
ankle sprain is coming for somebody.
Oh yeah, yeah. The ankle sprain in the protest game is coming for the other guy. So
Oh man, yeah, that's a situation. I really don't want to get into because
yeah,
I feel like everybody's talked about it enough. It's messy enough as it is,
yeah,
and we've talked about Kyrie with shit like this before. So,
yeah.
you
No,
kind
I'm
of,
not
if
getting
you've
into it.
listened to the podcast, you know our thoughts about it.
Yeah, you do. I will say this in their defense, they've lost to all really good teams, other than the Pacers. I mean, they lost to the Pelicans, who might be the number one seed in the West at like how they look. They lost to the Grizzlies, who were the number 2 seed in the West last season. Or did they finish
Two,
number 1?
they
2?
finished 2.
They lost to the Bucks, who, are a championship roster, and they lost to the Mavs, who went to the Western Conference Finals last year. So I mean, to give them a little bit of credit,
Hypothetically, I would.
but
Normally I'm with you. Like those are teams I'm okay with you losing to.
yeah,
The problem is they got annihilated on the glass in all those games.
yeah, true.
It,
That's been the biggest problem is the stats. How they
yeah,
lost is the issue. Yeah.
yeah, like they're blatant. They were blatantly trying to run and get up and down with teams.
Mm-hmm.
And if they
Yeah.
think they're sniffing a playoff game, like they'll maybe make the playoffs. Let's say a defensive coach comes in. If Seth gets healthy, if Joe gets right, which will probably take like half the year.
Mm-hmm.
But like I know their defense won't get significantly better
Right.
because they have no front court. Like that's not going to change. A coach is not changing that.
They have no front court, and they have no players that actually like playing defense.
Yeah.
So that's the other biggest issue. I mean, Royce O'Neal maybe, but Kyrie and KD only play defense because there's a second end of the court in basketball. If they could only play on the other end of the court, they
They just
would.
stand there. Dude, KD,
Yeah.
like Kyrie can kind of fool you by like he'll follow the screen. He'll get his hands up to try to like KD just fucking stands there.
Yeah.
KD will like blatantly let guys walk by. He'll do ever since that game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that little hop he hit and Jason Tatum cut right to the fucking rack layup
Yep.
game. At least Kyrie was there, made him spin. KD stood at the
Yeah.
free throw line with around nobody.
Right.
So that play was telling. And hopefully he at least tries, because I do think they could win games if they're at least trying defensively.
Mm-hmm.
But they're hopeless.
Yeah, and the other thing is the highest scoring duo to ever win NBA championship was, no surprise, Kobe and Shaq, right? They averaged 28 each in the in the season and going into the playoffs. Kyrie and Durant having to score 40 each is not gonna work going
Not
into
at
the
all.
playoffs. Like, because no one has ever done it. The only people who ever came close only averaged 28 each. So, like, I get it. It's cool that you win that way, and it looks cool, and the stats look cool, and their scoring averages go up, and you have two really high scorers. But it doesn't win championships having two really high scorers, and you guys still lose. I mean, even if
And
you won that way, you're not going to win in 7 games that way. You're not going to win 4 games, that way. Tatum and Brown already showed us that. So,
and I'll tell you 2 telling stats to me that I think even the NBA fan base is kind of over them as just carry the offense guys.
mhm.
Last year they were kind of average, and they were the top of the league pass like rating as far as how many people watch their games.
Yeah,
This year they were like 29th or 30th in season ticket sales.
that's crazy.
Their own fan base doesn't want to go to the game.
Yeah, that's gross. That's really
With
bad.
2 of the most talented back or duo in the league, nobody cares to get season tickets.
Yeah.
Sacramento gets more season ticket buyers than Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Insanity.
And I've seen that some people argue because they cost more, but it's a higher income area. So I mean,
Right.
yeah, it costs more, but it costs more to live in Brooklyn than it does in Sacramento too. So, you know, so people still should be able to afford it. That's what they want to do, and they're not doing it. So, um, yeah, man. They also have a bench issue that is no one's fault but their own, because they're paying, these guys, only 3 players on the team make like 80% of the team's cap. But you got guys who come off the bench like David Duke Jr. This is the Mavericks game. He was minus 23 while he was on the court. Minus 23. They only lost by 4.
They lose in overtime.
Yeah. So to have someone minus 23 is
I
ridiculous.
didn't even play that long. Oh, that's bad. That is bad.
Yes.
I mean, KD, after the Pacers loss, he was like the worst in the league in plus minus.
Yeah. And this game that they won, the Pacers game that they won, their starting 5 was all plus. On the bench, I'll just go down the bench. Markieff Morris -5, Day'Ron Sharpe -9, and Yuta Watanabe -16. So, and then Edmund Summers -1. Patty Mills was +2. But to have your whole bench basically in the minus is not good. That means every time you sub out the starting 5, you guys start losing. That's what that means basically.
Yeah.
So that's not good on anybody's part, whether it's the coach, the team, the roster, whoever. You gotta they have to figure that out if they want to start winning games. It's unacceptable. So,
and they can't play like this and think Ben Simmons will get better, by the way. Because teams will direct more of their limitations towards Simmons.
mm-hmm.
Like they'll prioritize getting him the ball, making sure we're helping extensively off of him. And again, you lose 4 straight with him, all of a sudden you get a win without him, which you don't look very good, but you get a win.
Mm-hmm.
You keep losing games with him, I don't know what they're going to do.
I question what their options are with Ben often as the season progresses. As I see them out there, and I don't know if Ben is happy on this team. and that really shouldn't matter as an NBA player, but I don't know. I don't know if they like Ben on the team. I'm starting to really feel like the trade for Ben was just because they had to make a trade with Harden. So I wonder what they actually want and if they keep him for the whole season.
We'll
I think
see.
he's untradeable until a certain date. I'm not sure which date it is. Maybe December, I think. December 15th, something like that.
But if he's still neck and neck with fouls and field goal attempts,
Yeah.
I don't know if too many teams in the league will be excited to get him.
Yeah, they won't, especially now that he's having other issues. He's having knee issues now. I mean, it was his back before, his back and his neck. Now he's having knee issues. So, I mean, someone with nagging injuries is never a desirable pickup,
Right.
All right. Lakers got their first win.
Let's go,
We didn't get
baby.
another
Good job, LA.
we didn't get another Pat Bev celebration, but the locker room they did shower Darvin Ham with Gatorade and water for his first win after 5 straight losses. Oh
The
man.
Lakers
So
are comedy, man. I will say, stat wise, it's telling that their only win, Anthony Davis had 15 rebounds.
Yeah. Another team
Formula
that
is
gets
pretty
dominated.
simple. I
Dominated
really
on the
think
glass.
defensively they're trying. Like Darvin Ham wasn't full of it when he said he'd get them to play some defense.
No, I agree. I agree with that. They do look pretty decent on defense. Believe it or not, I think Westbrook to me has been their best defender, like on a consistent basis. Like,
Yeah. Other than opening night, yeah.
Right, yeah. Everyone else, I see flashes here and there, but I think for the most part, Westbrook has had the games of like, oh, I've really noticed Westbrook on defense every game.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Denver as a whole shot really bad in this game. Jamal Murray was on minutes restriction and took 21 shots.
Yeah, he was
And
cooking.
he was cooking, but it's still a lot of shots being on minutes restriction. 7 threes. He took a lot of shots. Michael Porter Jr. was just jacking 5 for 15, 3 for 10 from 3. So, they got a good win, but the Nuggets didn't play very well, to me at least.
I mean, I like bringing Russ off the bench, finally.
We've been talking about it for over a year.
Like their roster, even
works.
in the first loss against Minnesota, the rotation doesn't look incompetent. Like you're still putting out bums. Yeah. But evening out that rotation with kind of Russ leading the second unit, and you saw it. Now Lonnie Walker's getting wide open shots.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't getting that many of those. He was just chucking before.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that we felt was positive about bringing Russ off the bench was that he gets guys who aren't very good shots.
Right.
That's like, if there's one thing Russ does that he's going to do every night, it's that. He's going to drive, he's going to kick, he's going to draw defense, he's going to get to the basket. That's what he does best. So, and it doesn't really work if he doesn't have the ball when LeBron is out there. It doesn't work when Anthony Davis is standing in the paint. But it works when you have guys who spread the floor, and that's only their job is to take open shots.
Yeah.
So,
and bigs who like Gabriel runs. He's not very good at anything, but he'll hustle.
He hustles big time. Yeah. So does Damian Jones. He hustles.
Yeah.
And he goes for every lob. If you throw a lob, he's going to try to finish it every single time.
Yeah.
And we know what Russ likes to do there.
But the formula
he
for me is
good.
it's still got it. Like the supporting cast will come and go for them. It'll probably go more than it'll show up.
Yeah.
But AD, I need the 12 rebound average guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
There's no roster in the league that could keep you from getting 12 rebounds.
Yeah, it's not.
And with the way you guys are actually getting stops, you're actually like slowly playing, you're slowing down the game. Like that's where you dominate.
Yeah.
And I think LeBron hasn't really played well, and they finally got a win, even with LeBron not playing well.
Yeah, he's just played okay, basically this whole season. He's just been
A lot
steady.
of bloopers.
Yeah, a lot
A
of
few,
bloopers.
a few too many like missed layups, missed lobs, fumbled catch, just like lose
Yeah,
the ball, throw it to the other
passes
team.
right to the other team a lot of times.
It's so
Like he threw one
blatant.
like right into Bruce Brown's chest the other night. I'm like, who was that too?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
saw it too?
Oh yeah. It's like every other game he's got one of those. I'm like, LeBron, like you overanalyze the situation.
Yeah, he like mishandles a catch and it goes out of bounds and he saves it right, like a fast break for the other team.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But they've kind of, to me, they flipped the roles with Brooklyn, where Brooklyn is losing, and to me, they look hopeless even if they start winning.
Yeah.
The Lakers, there's some silver lining, and hopefully there's a move coming up.
What could the move be at this point?
I don't want to say that. Let's just forget about the Pacers because that would have happened. I don't know why it's taking so long.
Yeah, I don't if it hasn't happened, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think so, especially since the Pacers are kind of good.
I mean, the candidate that would make some sense, and now with Russ seeming like he could fit a good situation if kind of put into it the right way.
Yeah.
Utah.
Right.
They could get any two players in Utah could fill out the Lakers rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, Markkanen gives the Lakers literally everything they need.
In one guy.
Shooting, size, rebounding, defense.
Danny Ainge is truly a mad. Like, he should be institutionalized if he trades Markkanen to the Lakers this year.
Markkanen is shooting lights out, dude.
He should be in a straitjacket if he trades Markkanen to the Lakers this year. Like, because he's perfect for Utah. He's doing great. He's like an MVP candidate.
He'll fall right back into the same garbage habits that he had in Chicago and Cleveland.
So, yeah, he got to stay. And the thing is, even if they're bad, Markkanen is bringing people to the games. Like, if you traded at this point, if you traded Markkanen and Clarkson, who would go to a Utah game? Like, let's say you traded Markkanen for Kendrick Nunn and Wenyen Gabriel, I promise you they'd lose. Like, people would be selling Utah season tickets online, like, for cheap.
Yeah, they got to keep. If they want to have fans, Clarkson got to stay out there.
Yeah, and he's the main one that they're thinking about trading. So,
I'm happy that roster kind of giving Ainge the FU. I love it. I love every moment. I hope it doesn't stop.
And we mentioned it early in the season. I mean, before the season started, we both said this team is not bad. Like, people saying this team is bad, you're wrong. They got ballers on this team.
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd win as many games as they're winning. But I knew that they would be a tough, you got to go in and beat them. You can't go in there just thinking, oh, this is an easy dub. You got to actually play them every night. So,
yeah.
This season's going to be tough on a lot of players' bodies because you do have to really play every team this year.
I know, man. I mean, the Spurs are still winning. 5-2, I think, which is crazy. I mean, I was sure they wouldn't touch 10 games.
Right now, our playoff prediction podcast looks insane. It looks like we look like idiots because Portland at number 1, Phoenix at number 2, Utah at number 3, San Antonio at number 4, Pelicans at 5, Timberwolves at 6, Denver at 7, Memphis at 8, and OKC at 9.
This early few weeks of the season has shown me that I can really only trust Giannis as far as predictions go.
Yeah, Giannis is
If
only on the
Giannis is
team.
out there, I know Milwaukee will be one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, the Warriors look like they're not even going to start trying until we get to the new year.
They do, yeah.
I mean,
They're really
Kerr,
just testing what the
5
team can
games,
do.
Kerr's talking about we lack like purpose or something. What
I
do you
missed that,
mean?
but
What do you mean, bro? Like Kerr, you never needed purpose to move the ball better than every other roster in the association.
they still move the ball well. I gotta say, man, to me, still their bench is really bad. They're bad, and I think they
It's
have good players individually, but they just come in and cannot contribute in the way that they need to contribute for them.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's always been the case in them losing. Like even with Livingston and Spates, who kind of to your point were really good individual players, but when they
Mhm.
lost again at that time they were barely losing. But when they
Yeah.
were losing, like their rotation looked bad,
Mhm.
and that's kind of showing up more now that with some more limited players.
Yeah, because it's like their bench points. Like I don't have the exact number in front of me, but if it's like 20, let's say the bench points are 30, Poole is getting like 24 of them every night. Like
I know.
that's not gonna that's not a winning formula if you really only score with your top 6 guys.
Yeah.
Kaminga has been terrible. I regret ever saying anything positive about him coming into the season. Unfortunately, they're
Hey,
leading the
some you
league
get
in points
right,
per
some you
game
get
though.
wrong.
They're leading the league in points per game, third in assists per game, but they're 22nd in rebounds and the 30th in opponents' points per game. So
That's why Milwaukee's undefeated and a lot of these supposedly good teams are struggling. Like
yeah,
Milwaukee will play Orlando and dominate the glass. Meanwhile,
yep,
the Warriors got to like find purpose to rebound.
yeah,
The Lakers, like they need to be desperate for a win to get on the glass. The Brooklyn is not getting on the glass and is wondering why they're losing games.
yep,
It's just bizarre.
yep. And also to the Cavs, um, how the Cavs are playing, which is fantastic. Even though Garland missed the first game, they haven't lost. I mean, Garland got hurt the first game. They haven't lost since, but they have elite rebounding. They have,
Yes.
Kevin Love is one of the best rebounders ever. Um, Evan Mobley has been rebounding really well, and Jared Allen is just, I mean, we already know what time it is with him. He's played fantastic, man. Um, Big time.
He's really a
So
top 5 center. Like, I mean, he's not, he might be, but he's not like individual, like as an individual comparison, he doesn't look better than a lot of guys.
yeah,
I take him over DeAndre Ayton any day of the week. If you got Donovan Mitchell, you wouldn't take Ayton over Jared Allen. There's no way.
yeah, I got you. Yeah, he's a
And
top
like
five
Ayton is
center at what
definitively better.
he's a top 5 center. He just may not be a top 5 player that plays center. Like that's how I
Yeah,
would
it's a good way
distinguish it.
to
Because
put it.
obviously you got the Jokic and Embiid, and but for what centers are actually
Like
supposed to do, Jared Allen does more than both those guys.
he's doing more than another guy who's supposedly better. Bam. He's doing way more than Bam.
He is.
Scoring about the same, rebounding much better, defense is about the same.
Yep. Yep. So it's been a fun season already. The highlights have been fantastic. Um, and teams showing up. Portland has looked great. Simons and Lillard has looked better than I think anyone could have imagined this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks that Lillard is going to be hurt for a few games, but when they are both hot, I mean, I don't know a backcourt that can possibly stay with them because they're both super quick, super athletic, and they both have unlimited range. And Simons is just like he's just emerged as like an elite scorer all of a sudden. So
Yeah. He gets
that year without
hot
Dame,
quick.
he does. And that year without Dame is proven to be huge for the development of these guys that come in and just play really, really well, and they fit with Dame. When Dame's not out there, they just play hard. Everyone on Portland plays hard, and shout
Yeah,
out
I
to
agree.
Chauncey because I questioned how good he was going to be of a coach, and if this is from his coaching, he's doing great. Teams in the West, man, bottom 5, we got the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Lakers are all there, and they're supposed to be decent teams. You got Chicago and Washington are 9 and 8 now, and Brooklyn and Miami are down in the bottom 5. Um, let's talk about the Clippers real quick. Supposed to be the deepest team in the league, but is your team really deep if no one can give you a consistent contribution?
Would it be crazy if I wrote them off right now? I
As
think they're
what though?
done. They're not a
They're gonna make?
contender. I was wrong.
Are they gonna make the playoffs?
I don't want to predict that because that's too early to say. They're capable of winning. Similar to Brooklyn, they're capable of winning games
What
regardless.
playoffs or play in? Where do you see? Are they top 6 or 7 through 10?
They're a playing team,
Yeah, I agree.
and they're not getting out the first round.
That's tough, but if they're in the play-in, they're not getting out because they're gonna have to play a top 3 seed, and they're not gonna be the top 3 seed. Not who
I'll tell
we
you my
think it
red
might be the top
flags. I
3
can tell
seed.
you red flags to why I would. Obviously, Kawhi is clearly not healthy.
Right.
First red flag.
Mm-hmm.
This team, this is supposed to be one of the deepest teams in the league. I haven't seen their depth on display once, to your point.
Mm-hmm.
It's if guys aren't reliable shooters, if they're not reliable defensive players, if they're not reliable at whatever it is they do, you're not deep. You don't have good depth. You
Right.
just have a good roster.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the Clippers love to flex? A good roster on paper.
They've been doing it for a long time.
A long time. And now, again, I'm watching the games. Paul George is carrying the team.
Yep.
My biggest thing off of last year was if Paul George doesn't have to the team every night, if there's like a window where he could heat up for a month, if Kawhi could dominate for a while, if the team could just play well and win a couple games without these guys,
Yeah.
they don't look like they could do any of that. It looks like it's going to be Paul George putting up MVP numbers and them looking like a bottom team without him.
Yeah. Yep.
I hate to say it, man. But I was under the impression that Kawhi was like back, but apparently he might never really be back.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm hearing that what he has is degenerative, so he may get worse and worse as far as his health goes, his knees. So yeah, we may never see full strength
I
Kawhi
mean,
again,
bro,
at least not for 40 minutes.
he played what, a game or two, and he's been out like 5, and he's gonna be out another 5. He's missing an eighth of the season after like 30 minutes of playing time.
Yeah. And after missing a full season, he hasn't played in like 100 games. And,
I mean, I hate it because I want to see him play.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the degenerative thing, man, anytime I've seen that, it's to be honest, it's a wrap.
yeah.
Because you don't get that,
Es-
never gets better.
Especially someone as big and,
Yeah,
as
man. And he looks like he
heavy
bulked
as
up
he
a little
is.
bit
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah. And to your point, making Paul George carry it. And it, unfortunately, it puts more on Paul George as a player, that more than he deserves, because the fact that they can even win games with how everyone else plays on the team is a credit to how good Paul is playing. I mean, he just won the game for him last night. So he's been playing well. Even the games he doesn't shoot that great, he's doing everything else for them. But yeah, I don't know. I can't. If you give me all these guys on their team, all the extra guys they have on their team, I can't tell you what they do great that I know is going to happen every game. Like, especially Like, to me, Ty Lue has just lost all control of the roles on this team because he has one guy who has a clear role, and that's John Wall. Push the ball, kick it out. He's doing the drive to the basket, kick to the corner. Then guys are wide open. But then we have guys like Kennard and Powell and Covington that aren't hitting the shots. So, I mean, what can Wall do at that point? What can Paul George do at that point other than just play one on one for the whole
what's
game?
happened is Wall has taken a lot more shots than I honestly thought he would.
Yeah.
I thought this would be a team that Wall could come in and have like a 12-point night on 6 shots and have 8 assists.
Yeah.
And dominate for like 20 minutes of playing time.
Yeah.
And it's like everything looks forced.
Yeah.
Everything looks like it's like a roster that doesn't have good depth.
But this is why I said what I said about Wall, because of how the bench is, because the bench really isn't that great. This is why I really didn't like Wall coming off the bench for them. Because he comes in and really can't get an assist because these guys can't score. Or he comes in and, to your point, has to take more shots than he would if he was out there with starters. If he was out there just hooking up Marcus Morris or Paul George, but like once he comes down and kicks it out to Covington twice and he misses it and Powell takes a bad shot, the only way for them to stay in the game is for Wall to take more shots.
Yeah.
To take jumpers and take threes.
And I was really hyped about how many good wings they have, but they're doing exactly what I didn't want, where it's Batum, Covington, Powell, and they're all just playing like they're Nicholas Batum.
Yeah.
Like they're just clones. They're interchangeable clones of each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate, like, that was the one thing I didn't want to see.
Yeah, I agree. And they didn't get a backup center. So now they do that where they have a small forward playing center a lot of times. And that just sucks.
It's nothing epidemic good needs to stop.
I know, it's like Giannis is not a small forward.
I know.
He plays center, but he's obviously not a small forward. So
I know.
They think because Giannis does it, everyone that plays small forward can do it. No, Brandon Boston Jr. is 6'6". He's not a power forward or a center. Kawhi Leonard is not a center.
I know, dude. Ty Lue's taking some of Doc's bad qualities. He's trying to be a mad scientist with a roster that does not need that.
Terrence Mann is 6'5". He's not a power forward. Shouldn't see guard/forward on his thing. He's not a forward.
I know.
By any means. At all.
You were just trying to turn him into a point guard like a year and a half ago.
They have that's what I'm saying. Lue has completely lost control of what the positions are on this team. And it's showing in how bad they are losing to teams that they're clearly better than.
I know.
So we'll see what happens there. Lue's job is safe, but as far as this duo goes,
it's done.
Paul George, man, I love you, Paul George. You've been one of my favorite players for a long time. You got to look for some new horizons. Like, I get it. You want to play for the Clippers. You want to play for your home. You don't want to play under LeBron. I get that. So, but there's
a couple other teams in Cali. If Cali's that big a deal,
go to the Warriors. That's nice. Yeah, let's do that. Or go to Sacramento.
Hey, Clay is looking more and more tradable by the game.
Yeah, I would like. That's a good trade, to be honest. But yeah, man, this isn't it, dog. Waiting for Kawhi to come back when he's not going to come back. And the problem is the team plays like they're waiting for Kawhi to come back. And that's the worst thing. And I'm not sure. I know I'm the number one Kawhi hater in the country, but I'm not sure that Kawhi coming back even makes them, even if he came back, Clipper Kawhi, not Toronto Kawhi, but at how he's been on the Clippers, he doesn't make them that much better, especially if he's the only one out there.
He's not really like what they're missing. That's what sucks about it.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
just like I just want
But
to
they
see more cohesiveness from them.
I know, because if they had, like, they have the roster where we can swing it and everyone has to close out on every guy we swing it to. And if they don't, we have guys who can cut and drive. We have that kind of team, and Kawhi, it doesn't swing at all. So it's like, yeah, when
Yeah.
he comes back, you guys are just gonna take less shots. So why don't you start making them now?
And they look the less like I don't see these guys taking less shots as a solution. I think
Right.
if Powell gets less shots, you fucked him up. You might as
Yeah.
well not even play him.
Yeah. He's not just a catch and shoot guy.
Again, like
No.
Batum and Covington, I've seen them not play well doing that. I've seen them
Hmm.
forced to be out there because they're one of the 8 to 9 best players on the team, and they're out there for no reason. And they look worse at what they're supposed to be good at.
Covington for sure.
Yeah.
Covington has looked so bad sometimes. He looks like he doesn't even deserve to be in the NBA sometimes.
Sometimes
And
I
he
agree.
does. He does, but it's like, yo, I thought you were supposed to be a shooter. I thought you were supposed to be good at something. He
I
gets exposed
I
on defense and
sometimes he looks horrible.
yeah.
It's not that often, but it's just every now and then I'm like, yo, this guy, just like send him home today. Just give him a day off. Like, man, get your head right. This isn't it.
Oh, yeah. You're right though.
I mean, honestly, bro, I never want to see. I know you've scored 40 points, but I never want to see you attack a closeout if the help defense is there. Like, bro, if the help is already there, don't get in the paint. Like, just kick it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see it with the
Especially
Philly guys too. It's the Doc and Ty Lue are similar in that way.
yeah, they are. They are.
But man, I hate
Um,
that. I hate that I'm so out on the Clippers, but I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. I don't see it working out. I think if anything they've shown me this season is that it's closer to blow it up time. Because a few times I've seen this happen with teams where like the whole
Yeah.
roster just looks like they shouldn't be a team. It's time to not make them a team, you know?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Lastly, I've waited long enough, man. I've given them a chance. I have to talk about the Heat, man. I
Ah.
waited. So I would have talked about them off rip. First game, I would have.
Yeah.
Let me pull up their stats, man.
I haven't watched them start to finish because I don't know. They're not interesting to me.
That's not a problem.
It is a problem. But it's
Um,
like when it's one guy's fault, you know
yeah,
what I mean? I'm tired of being irritated about that, honestly.
probably more.
I
Bring
mean,
it
like,
down for us.
you were telling me Struce is like playing like trash.
Yeah,
Like, bro, Struce shouldn't even be in a position to play trash.
yeah,
Like, Struce should be like Robinson, bro. If he trips for 2 plays in a row, he's done.
yeah.
He's done. If he takes 2 straight shots like he's the fucking number 1 threat on the team, he's done. But what
Yep.
is, just like with Robinson, what does Spoelstra do? Force feed him.
Yeah.
Like, why? Bro, he's so average. Like, it makes no I look around the fucking league. Kyle Kuzma averaged essentially 20 points a game last year, and the Wizards never force him the ball.
Right.
Bro, Tobias Harris is capable of getting. Tobias Harris starts off almost every night hot, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
force feed him the ball.
Nope. He like hits his first three every night. Or
Yeah,
first,
and
second three every
Max
night.
Strus, bro, Drew Holiday eats from Milwaukee. He's their second to third best player. I've never seen them force him shots. Sometimes Drew himself will force a few, but it's never like completely out of the sets, completely out of the offense. Meanwhile, Miami just spams handoffs like it's 2K.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know why they do that shit. It's horrible.
Strus is putting up 7 threes a game. He's making 2 of them, a little over 2 of them. Well, 2.6, so close to 3, but not quite. Shooting 35% from the 3. 43% from field goal percentage is not bad, but if he's making 4.9 field goals a game, so that means 2.6 of them are threes, right? So he's making 2 other field goals a game, which is cool, but taking 11 shots a game, do I want that from Strus? Not really.
I mean, we're already past the main problem. You paid a shooter $90 million for another shooter to take 7 threes a night.
Yeah. Like Duncan Robinson takes 4 field goals a night.
Surprised they sneak him out there, to be honest. Now, again, to the points we've talked about for years. Now it's not just Strus soaking up all the guy that's playing like garbage minutes out there when Duncan Robinson did it before. Now Spoelstra wants to figure out a way to play both of them.
Yep.
It's like they're constantly covering up for how Jimmy just doesn't want to carry for that as many games as he has to.
Thank you. Jimmy. Tyler Hero takes 16 shots a game. Jimmy Butler takes 14. If I ask you in any time of either of their career who the better player is, would you ever say Tyler Hero?
No.
Ever?
No.
Should he ever take more shots than
Jimmy
Butler?
Never.
And he does every night. I don't know if Jimmy's outshot him in a single game this season.
I mean, Harrell's led them in scoring most of their games.
Yeah. He isn't overall, but for the most part, he has. Yeah, but it's mainly just because he takes more shots. Bam takes 13. Caleb Martin takes 9 shots a game. Kyle Lowry takes 9 shots a game. And like I mentioned, Strus takes 11. So that's basically their starting 5. They start Caleb Martin at the 4. Again, not a power forward, but we'll live because they do that because Jimmy Butler can guard everybody on the court. So I understand that. But what we're getting every night is number 1, Bam leads them in turnovers, 4 turnovers a game. It's unacceptable. Your center leading you in turnovers is unacceptable. The only other center that leads their team in turnovers, only 2 is Embiid and Jokic. But that's because Jokic also leads the team in assists, and Embiid is like top 5 in the league in usage. Normally, I don't think he is this year because of Harden, but normally he's up there in usage. His usage is way more than Bam's. So Bam averaging 4 turnovers a game. It's not going to work. And every night I see that they lose. Jimmy Butler he doesn't take the most shots on the team. So how can you possibly win if your best player isn't even doing all that he can for you to win? I just don't understand. I've been saying this since Jimmy Butler has been on the Heat, that I don't understand why he sits there and watches the team lose a game and doesn't try to take over the game until the playoffs. Then the playoffs, he makes me look like an idiot for saying that all season. But this isn't the season for them to be able to just turn it on mid-season. Like, especially Jimmy.
The East is way too stacked for that.
The East is way too stacked, and they're getting into a whole. I mean, granted, it's 7 games. We're only talking about 7 games, but right now they're 26th in points per game. They're 27th in rebounds. 27th. There's only 30 teams.
That's sick. I mean, I was sickened by the Bam leading them in turnovers. I mean, I thought we told our fucking point guard to get in shape. For what?
Not to
For what? To
pass.
take 9 shots while bums take way more?
And it would be different also if like they were really high in assists total. Like, like Looney getting 3 assists. I mean, 3 turnovers, I get because the team passes a lot.
Yeah.
This team isn't like one of those teams where like moving the ball that heavy. So you get 3 assists. I mean, 3 turnovers. The team is 17th in assists. They're not even top 15. So I don't know. If these stats looked good and their stats looked okay and they just lost, I wouldn't have anything to say, right? Like we've mentioned some teams that they have good stats, they're just losing. Like even the Nets are just losing to good teams. But these stats are gross. And Jimmy, you have to do something, man. And he's saying, "Yeah, I don't care what you guys say. We're still gonna go to the finals. We're still gonna win the championship." He's been saying that, but they lost to Sacramento. They lost to Toronto.
Like you look around the East, do they really match up well with anybody other than Brooklyn? Like, yeah, they're a favorable matchup against Brooklyn. Do they stack up well against DC?
They're barely a favorable matchup to Brooklyn, to be honest.
They don't stack up well against Cleveland without Garland.
Nope.
They don't
They
stack
already
up.
lost to Chicago, and they don't stack up well to Chicago.
I mean, the way Boston looks, they're not sniffing a game from Boston. Milwaukee, not a single game.
No.
Philly's still not playing well, and I'm not sure they could take a game from Philly.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because Philly has 2 of the 3 best players in the series. Yep. Where last year it was 2 of the one was the Embiid was in Philly, Butler was in Miami. No doubt that was the 1 and 2 best players in the series. But with Harden healthy, I'm not looking at Jimmy Butler the way he's looked and saying he'll be a second best player in a series like that.
Right.
So
the way Maxi's
he's got to
playing,
step up, man. Oh, Maxi's
if Jimmy's only going to take 10 shots, Maxi's going to outplay him every game.
I know. And Maxi will match whatever Harrow does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So like this play through Harrow or play through like the shooters just so the shot distribution, like, yeah, the Wizards could pull it off because they distribute the ball to guys that shoot shots that they should shoot. Just spamming Max Strus threes is not getting good shots.
Right.
Just having Lowry out there because he's a vet, not to actually contribute. Like, that's not good. That's not a good look.
It's not.
And I'm looking at, bro, Charlotte, it doesn't look like a free win.
No.
Detroit doesn't look like a free win. Orlando doesn't look like a free win. Literally none of the teams in the East look like a free win.
Indiana isn't a free win.
Right. Indiana, New York looks solid.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like looking like a potential playoff team.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad.
Everyone else got a pretty good start.
It's bad. Like you said, the real key is this is the first year they can't just turn it on.
Exactly.
And honestly, Jimmy needs this. And he's been skating for too fucking long.
Yeah, and the other thing is they'll turn it on when all these other teams are more healthy than they were, or they'll get pickups that they needed. Like Atlanta has been playing really well, and Bogdanovich hasn't played. He hasn't been playing. You know, their star bench scorer hasn't been playing. Toronto, Van Vliet has been in and out. I mean, he's not even fully healthy, and they look great.
And they're starting to blow teams out.
Cleveland is 5-0. They lead the league in threes. They're 8th in points per game. They're 2nd in opponents' points per game. They're locking teams up. And their all-star point guard isn't even there. They're 5-0 without him. Middleton isn't all the way.
That's what I was going to say. He hasn't played. Milwaukee's undefeated.
Robert Williams hasn't played.
Celtics look just as good.
So these top teams are missing guys. And, we talk about the Wizards a lot. They're going to make some free agency moves. Chicago isn't healthy. So all these teams, go ahead and wait. wait till Ben Simmons can actually play every game where he's not dealing with health issues too. If he ever gets in rhythm, then you're going to try to turn it on.
It's too late.
It's going to be too late. Yeah. So,
and in the past you had like PJ Tucker was a guy that could contribute to that. You're not turning it on with a bunch of young guys. All your centers are, other than Bam, are like first or second year players.
Yeah. I mean,
Spruce has barely been in the league.
Dedmon's old, but Dedmon has been hurt too.
And he's not really like a significant, his contribution doesn't really leave a major impact every night.
Right.
My problem is Lowry and Jimmy are supposed to be, two of the better players in the league, and they're just fucking out there all the time.
They're the only two Hall of Famers on the team that will have a chance of being Hall of Famers on
Lowry
the team.
doesn't even, bro. Mike Conley's playing better than him. And I thought for years Mike was washed up.
I thought last year was going to be his last year.
Lowry's like getting washed up for the second time.
Right. Yeah. The crazy thing is, I'm looking at it now, Miami may be the only healthy team in the East right now.
And they're playing the worst.
They're bottom three. So
we'll see though. Spoelstra's worked magic before. And Jimmy is prone to just wake up.
Yeah. And I would say he's
go through a month where they'll barely lose because Jimmy's locked in.
Yeah. So it's possible. And I wouldn't say it. If I didn't believe it was possible, I wouldn't say it. Huh?
That'll make me more angry knowing that he's still good enough to do it, even though he shouldn't be able to. Like, that means he'll never give us a full season again.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So we will see what happens there. Another shout out to Cleveland though, man. They look fantastic. Cleveland and Portland. I mentioned Portland already, and we mentioned Utah, we mentioned San Antonio, but Cleveland, man, Donovan is eating. He's taking over the highlights every night. He's putting up 30s. He's willing the team to win. They're not just winning. Donovan is carrying and willing them to win every night. Love has been vintage since Donovan has got there. Levert is finally under control. He's submitting to the best player on the team. He's taking shots, like good shots now. Some of them are tough shots, but they are good shots. And the bench guys come in. Dean Wade comes in and plays well, does his role. Osman does his role. I can't wait for them to get healthy too.
I like Okoro a lot.
I like Okoro a lot too, man. A lot. So they're doing great. They're playing better defensively than I thought. They would. And if they do get anybody, they're just going to get better and better. I think they're just going to get better and better over the season because it's still young guys and they're still trying to adjust to Donovan's leadership, and Garland is going to get healthy. I think it's just he just has an eye injury, so it shouldn't be that long.
Yeah, it's just a timing. Like, you just got to get right and he'll be back.
Yeah, so they look great. Defensively, they look great. Donovan is finally proving what I said about Quinn Snyder's defensive sets that made all of them look really, really bad. Gobert is out there averaging almost 20 rebounds a game and looking great on defense. And, everyone looks great on defense since they left Quinn Snyder's Jazz team. So,
yeah, except Royce, but similar to Nash, he gets a pass because he's worst leadership in basketball. So,
yeah, and he's playing like he plays center for them.
So. He shoots shots like he's he's their new Joe Harris.
While Joe Harris is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Transition, little pound threes in transition. Like, good dude, you are not good at this.
He hits them sometimes, but he's not gonna hit them all year. It's not gonna work all year. Any other teams you want to talk about? Anything else?
I mean, Doc looks like he listened to the last podcast, to be honest, because the guys are starting to fucking get clogged.
They are. He's getting more off the bench. He's getting more out of his top bench guys for sure.
again, they look like a very dynamic team without Embiid, which they did
Mhm.
every time. Like, the last several years, they've looked like that.
Yeah, since Doc has
Um,
been there.
and if the playoffs go in a similar manner to the way they have in the past, like
Mhm.
Embiid in Philly long term is going to start to become a conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, but I like, bro, I like that Niang is not the first fucking guy off the bench. I love it. I love that
What
Matisse is getting, Shake Milton is getting in the game.
who was it the last few games? First
What
off
do you
the
mean?
bench. First off the bench.
Melton. Melton's usually, I mean, he
Melton. Okay.
started the game, this last game that Embiid didn't play against DC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the game before when Maxey went off, I'm pretty sure he didn't start.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But they look good, man. Their energy looks a lot better. They're getting up and down. Harden is still like it ain't like Harden had to elevate his play in Embiid's absence.
Mhm.
He's still been really good. It's mostly been Maxey stepping up, playing better. Tobias is a
Yeah.
little more consistent. And again, like now there's a rotation with their bench. So there's not
Mhm.
this pressure on House and Tucker to like make shots or drive and not do dumb shit
Yeah.
because the shots are being distributed to other guys.
Yep. And I mean, with Harden, all you have to do is just move to the open spot. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
I mean, he takes care of everything else. And
And I think
with
Harden and Maxey playing all year together is going to be huge for them in the playoffs.
I agree. I agree because Maxi is a really good cutter because he
Yeah.
has good size. Um, they got to fix the heights because he is not only 6'2". There's no way
I don't know. He looks
he looks
short
way
compared to
bigger.
some guys, but then really tall other nights.
Yeah, he does. He look like he's a whole 4 inches shorter than Harden.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So, but yeah, he's long and he cuts really well. So that's gonna be nice for Harden. And Harden has, I mean, he still has Montrezl. That's a lob threat. Montrezl cuts and rolls off screens really well. This team has a lot of guys who really know how to play, which is huge. I
Yeah.
would say they may be up there top in the league with a lot of guys who just really know how to play basketball well. So,
Yeah.
um,
And Korkmaz's got to be hurt because I mean he's still not getting any clock. I haven't really seen him on the injury report.
yeah, I haven't either.
Uh, but I still feel like the way they, especially without Embiid, the way they play, I mean,
Mhm.
Korkmaz would be a great fit out there.
Yeah. Um, he may be a trade asset they're looking at, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
he could help a lot of teams.
we're getting close to the area, like this mid-November, they're gonna start not playing the trade assets, you know, when December comes. So because there's definitely gonna be some trades this year, obviously. I think teams are waiting for those picks. So
Yeah,
never know with that. But yeah, because Korkmaz is definitely, we mentioned it last time. He obviously can fit on this team, can fit in the game with these guys. So we'll see what happens there. I like 76ers still for the East, but they keep trying to get us off that path.
yeah. Doc just got to relax on the trying again. The mad scientist thing, we don't need it.
No, we
Leave
don't.
that to the fucking Houstons, the Sacramentos, to all these like young rosters figuring. Even with the Mavericks, leave that to the Mavericks.
Yep.
You got a lot of depth, a lot of good players. Just find a rotation that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. Um, as we've been speaking, uh, Udoka has apparently agreed to be the head coach of the Nets.
You got to be shitting me.
Yeah, it says that they're moving fast, progressively, to hiring Udoka as the new coach. That quick.
Hey,
I
good
mean,
thing the Nets don't have Boston Celtics standards in the building.
that's according to Woj. And Woj also says in the next 24 to 48 hours, the deal will be finalized. So there you go. Uh, breaking news. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that.
He doesn't
The thing
fix.
is, yeah, he doesn't fix it. And the thing is, and this is no disrespect to him as a coach, I don't really know. I can't really like tell what his style is because the Celtics changed, but not that much. Not like a whole lot for me to know. Like, Udoka came and this was completely different, or I could see the play style from before to after him.
Yes.
Is more just effort and just sharing the ball, which I'm on record already saying that I think a lot of it was the team really like getting mad at each other to do it.
Yeah.
Them being on the hot seat of being traded, Marcus Smart calling them out, Brown and Tatum, possibly getting split up and them just deciding, hey, we just need to figure this out. I'm more on that side, so I don't really know what Udoka brings to a team other than just a leader,
A
respected
steady
guy.
voice.
Yeah, so and I'm not sure Nash didn't do that. If you're not going to listen to the steady voices, it has no value. So we'll
I
see.
don't know, man. I agree with you though. Like when Steve Kerr took over from Mark Jackson, you saw the ball just move around a lot more.
You did, yeah.
Like the bench guys are more involved. You got rid of any kind of like weird ISO post ups.
Yeah.
It was more fluid. And Steph, like it was the perfect slight adjustment to a system while Steph is emerging.
Yeah, and you're talking about one of the more slight ones. Is not that wasn't even a drastic
Right.
difference. But you're right. You're completely right. Yeah.
But
And even
With Boston though, I completely agree. Like you really can't look at schematically what Brad Stevens and Udoka did that differently.
right. Yeah. Even Harry Stotts and Chauncey, I noticed a complete difference with
Yeah.
how they coach. I noticed um even Lou to Doc to Brett Brown. I mean, those we know is obvious. Nick
Yeah.
Nurse to Casey was very slight, but he had a slightly different roster too. But you notice a little more energy, a little more defense oriented team. But yeah, I don't know what Udoka does different or does that special. So maybe we'll see it. I doubt it because I think Durant and Kyrie have to play how they play at this point. But it will be interesting to see if they can play differently. I don't want to see King of the Court for 48 minutes again, though. Like that would be if he stops that at all, you know, we'll see a big difference in
Yeah.
how they play.
Like more in the past when they've moved the ball really well. I mean, they obviously did it a lot more when Harden was there.
Yeah.
But I have called this team the best offensive team in the league before. And I think they could get back. And that wasn't just because Kyrie was individually great and KD was individually great. Like
Right.
I thought they moved the ball really well. They passed it to the guy that was open really well. They found like their shooters a lot of really well, especially their best shooters like Patty and Seth. Like
Yeah.
there's really no reason other than selfishness for them to get back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had Dinwiddie back then, right?
Yeah, but he was hurt. I think this was the year he was hurt.
Oh, the year he was hurt. Okay. Yeah. 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 So I was gonna say they had bench guys that they really involved, and now it's like
Yes.
it's almost like the bench guys have to crash their party every time they come to the game. They're like, oh man, he's in the game. Like we have to play around him.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like when I watch the games now. But back then, it really felt like bench guys to come in and they just use them within the offense.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, man, I don't want to watch 2-on-5. I really don't. There's
Yeah,
too
man.
much
Like here,
talent in the league for me to watch that shit.
let me ask you something about the league real quick. The last thing, we'll end on this. Do you think that the how much players are getting paid now is affecting benches in the league?
Yeah.
I do too. I noticed that, and I wasn't sure if I was crazy for noticing that, but and
It's
it
very
goes
subtle.
It is subtle, and it goes both ways, right? It goes, first of all, our starters are making a ton of money, so we can't really afford to bring anybody on the bench. But also, if we have someone good on our bench, we have to pay them as if they were a starter. So we have to bring all these guys who nobody wants. And listen, I mean, no disrespect to the players because they're NBA players, cool. But nobody wants David Duke Jr. Nobody wants Edmund Sumner. Nobody wants Day'Ron Sharp. No one wanted Yuta Watanabe, Kessler Edwards. These are guys that just aren't desirable players for other teams to think, oh, let's bring them in. They'll really help us. Again, no disrespect to them because, cool, they're good players, but they're not guys that are desirable around the league.
Yeah.
Lakers, same thing. We got a bunch of guys that we just got because everyone else threw away already. So I wonder which side of it is the biggest issue. Is it that the starters make too much, or is it that the bench guys make too much and we can't afford them because, are we going to pay someone 20 million that doesn't start unless
I
there's
think
Duncan
it's
Robinson?
more. I think it's more organizational. Like I think obviously it doesn't happen on the Warriors because it's a very like everybody's on the same page with the goals.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem. It's getting more blatant that winning isn't the main priority on certain rosters.
Right.
And when things like that, like, yeah, it's clicking for the Jazz now, but there's a good chance it doesn't click all year and it becomes a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, I hate to be negative about it, but that's kind of the organizations that have been stuck.
Yeah.
Are, I think, under the most, they're the most prone to this kind of situation that's playing out.
Yeah. That makes sense. It makes sense. It's just something to look out for basketball fans.
I think like
Your team
Boston
isn't going.
manages it so well.
They do, yeah.
So good cultures like find a way to manage that. I think that's always been a potential problem that good
Mm-hmm.
cultures can always manage.
Yeah, I agree, and I think a lot of teams like Boston, Phoenix also will trade. They'll play only 9 guys if we have 9 really good guys.
Yeah.
We don't have to have 12 great players like the Clippers do, and they don't even use 6 of
Right.
them. Like 6 of them don't even play well. I think Boston knows, all right, well, we have 3 guys that are okay. Let's trade all 3 of them and get one guy that's really good, and he'll be our bench guy. So at the end of the day, the cap isn't bad because you went 3 for 1 and you have your, 8 really good players.
Yeah.
So maybe teams don't look at it that way all the time. And Celtics are also a great drafting team. We've always been a great drafting team.
That's another factor, I think. Like there's teams who draft well versus teams who sign guys well versus teams who do neither well, teams who get lucky every now and then. So it's a weird mix.
Yeah. Man, the Celtics. You look at the Celtics, they pretty much drafted like their best players. It's crazy. 4 of their starters were drafted by the Celtics.
And a lot of their it's been trades to get those picks that have led to them drafting their best players.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I mean, Jaylen Brown was wild to me. Tatum I knew would be good, but I had no idea Jaylen would be this good.
I didn't either. I mean, I said real early that he had the Kawhi mold, but I didn't think he would be better than Kawhi.
I think he'd have a way better, I thought he'd always be stiff. The way Scotty Barnes dribbles the ball now, I thought Brown would forever dribble like that.
Yeah. I thought he was always going to be stiff. I thought he was always going to be a real strong, really just strong player.
Yeah.
And not so fluid and majestic like he is now.
Well, he got a whole mid-range bag. Yeah.
He does, yeah. And a better long-range shooter than those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Tatum, when he was at Duke, I just saw no weakness in his game. I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna be good.
I was like, yeah, there's no way he can't score.
Right.
And I was
I
like,
still
it might take him a while. Like Ingram, it took a little while, but with Tatum, the skill set was there immediately.
if Ingram had to be like Tatum is, I think Ingram probably would have went faster. I think the LeBron thing slowed Ingram down. Kobe, I mean, the Kobe situation, I think was right before Ingram. That slowed him down. It was just a lot going on with the Lakers. But if Ingram could have came in and just been the number 2 guy immediately and just took shots, I think he could have been. His development might have been quicker, I should say.
Yeah.
Like throwing a kid into the water, telling him to swim, kind of thing. I still prefer Tatum at the 4, even though they still really don't do it. But it is what it is. It is what it is. We'll see what happens with them too, since Udoka not coming back. How do we like Joe Mazzulla as their coach moving forward? How do they like Joe Mazzulla as their coach moving forward? If he's considered their long time thing, or is it just like to the end of the season, or will they start looking for coaches as well? That's going to be something to watch for too, I think. Because if Udoka gets this, are they going to look at Quinn Snyder and Vogel and D'Antoni and these other guys saying like, hey, we don't have a head coach? Or do they really view Joe as the head coach?
Yeah, I mean, we won't really get a good glimpse of it until the playoffs, but yeah, I do want to see it.
Yeah.
Because the more I watch Boston, the more I think they run through the season.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
they'll be a top 3 seed and they might struggle for a while.
Right. And that's the real question is, does Joe Mazzulla say their head coach? Because right now on their website, it says interim coach. So does he stay head coach to the playoffs? Or do they say, hey, you're doing great, Joe, but let's move you back down. Let's get Vogel in there as our head coach. He's respected. He knows what he's doing. We're so close. Are they too close to think, hey, let's go with a new head coach? I don't know. Coming right off the finals appearance, it is tough. As always, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, follow us, hit us up with any questions you have for us, any discussions, and we'll see you guys next week.